Hello everyone, and now welcome to Game 2 in this series between WarchiefRich and ShaDai. Game 2 taking place here on Last Refuge as we have ShaDai spawning as the orange undead on the bottom left hand side of the map. Meanwhile, on the top right, we are looking at WarchiefRich spawning as the blue night elf. Now, Game 1, no real big surprise there. WarchiefRich able to easily take game number 1. As we now move into game number 2, you can take a look and the Death Knight actually being built and the Ultra of Darkness being built much earlier. We'll see if anything turns around here in game number 2. I believe the delay in that Death Knight ended up causing some problems because the Death Knight really didn't do that much. Normally, you see the undead army rush in with those ghouls and try and take down many of these very poor wisps. The reason why the wisps are much more exposed in a map or from the Night Elf point of view is because of that Ancient of War being built off to the side. The Ancient of War isn't part of your wall, and if it isn't part of your wall, it is actually much easier for the Death Knight to run in with Wisp in order to try and take down some of, Death Knight to run in with ghouls to take down some of these Wisps. You can see that the Wisp are just being placed all across the map inside the back here. And as long as WarchiefRich has some very strong micro, we'll be able to dance Wisp in and out of this gold mine in order to keep them alive. Death Knight already out and running across the map. He sold his Scroll of Town Portal. As you can see that the Death Knight does not have Unholy Aura. A little bit of an extra bit of luck there as the Death Knight was able to just outrun that Demon Hunter just because a line of sight. 1 mana burn does end up going down as the Death Knight does pick up some skeletal minions and is now rushing over. Alright, the big question here, how much damage can this Death Knight really hope to do? Getting 1 shot of damage off before taking down a Wisp, that is going to be absolutely key. As you can take a look there, there is one skeletal minion getting taken down. The Demon Hunter unable the Death Knight unable to get a Death Coil off, and we can see that the Ancient of War is already rooted and training up more archers. So very interesting strategy by WarchiefRich, not getting to level 2 with that Ancient of War and that archer like he did in game number 1 in order to train up more archers here. A third archer now being added as the Death Knight going to perhaps run back around the far side here. He's looking and gonna take down a pig, get some skeletal minions back up and running. Halls of the Dead, currently halfway upgraded. Graveyard now coming into play. We may see some Crypt Fiends here in just a moment as the skeletal minions are once again on the run. The Death Knight did getting Unholy Aura, so he didn't train his ability early on. A little bit of a head-scratching move there. If he wanted to get that Unholy Aura faster, he would have been able to perhaps get some damage onto some of those archers. So a little bit of indecision, not getting a level 1 ability until about the 3-minute 30-second mark in this game could come back to haunt him. Alright, skeletal minion doing a good job padding in front of that archer. That archer is taking a fair bit of damage. That skeletal minion could get some hits off onto that archer. Not quite sure why he isn't doing exactly that. You can see a little bit of split micro. There you have it, as the archer now able to get a little bit too far ahead. That skeletal minion trying to get in front of a second archer now, and it looks like it may be able to do a little bit more, but it's all going to be superficial damage on these archers as the archers now head back home to those Moonwells. Meanwhile, back on the bottom left-hand side of the map, you see ghouls are now dispatched and will be joining up with the rest of the army. Alright, so ghouls now making their way out across the field. They need to stay close together, and if they're able to capture this Demon Hunter and get a good surround on him, that will be incredibly useful. Now the Death Knight does have those boots of speed, and now picking up a Naga Sea Witch. Oh, this could be incredibly bad news here, as that Demon Hunter not getting to get surrounded. Both sides ended up grabbing a unit there, and the Demon Hunter is going to be forced to try and use a Scroll of Town Portal. Now the Naga Sea Witch is back over here. Are we going to perhaps see her pick up a Staff of Teleportation? No Staff of Teleportation either there, as the Naga Sea Witch is now slithering off to the north, expecting this Naga Sea Witch to just perhaps be caught somewhere. All right, you can see the Death Knight and the Naga Sea Witch is desperately looking for this Naga Sea Witch here and is not going to find it, as that Naga Sea Witch is not in transition. All right, let's take a look at this. All right, Demon Hunter get a little bit caught in front, and oh my goodness, it looks like that Demon Hunter could end up getting surrounded here in just a moment. And yes, that is exactly what we're going to be having. The Demon Hunter now get caught in between a rock and a hard place there, running back around the other side. The Death Knight is still in position, as now we see the Naga Sea Witch rejoining up on the fight. Demon Hunter going to fall at level 2, and that will set things up as the Naga Sea Witch tries to slither away. Death Knight now going to perhaps catch up to that Naga Sea Witch. However, it's going to be more important that this Naga Sea Witch catches up to her. We don't see that happening. And instead, the Naga Sea Witch may try, and what is going on here? You cannot be wasting time. As soon as you get a good, strong early kill on the level 2 Demon Hunter at this stage in the game, you need to start pressing. A little bit of indecision back and forth there is going to buy 15 seconds of resurrection time on this Demon Hunter, even though the Death Knight now has opted to get a little bit more experience by creeping. As long as you are using that time, then it doesn't have to be the most efficient. As long as you're using that time somehow, then you can still press that advantage and press that lead. Now, this is normally when the Undead player is able to get to level 2 on the Death Knight and his second hero relatively quickly, but we're still looking at level 1 heroes coming in from the Undead. He is not using this time well, and as I say this, he's only creeped out 1 creep camp. He may be able to get a freebie of a creep camp because of the help from the Night Elf, giving him that experience. And yes, you're going to be seeing exactly that. Scroll of the Beast now being left behind, as the Archers and Dryads going to get some easy kills there. All right. ShaDai did have this 1 Sentry Ward there, level 2 on the Death Knight and also that Naga Sea Witch. That's going to be important as the Demon Hunter now comes back out. A little bit of slow poison or cold arrows slowing down that Death Knight, as that Death Knight needs to rethink his strategy and now head back home. All right. ShaDai, not too shabby. He is sitting at level 3. He does have a slaughterhouse. Perhaps if he starts getting up abominations, and I do say abominations before obsidian statues, just because the abomination will have a much earlier, much more profound impact. We can see Crypt Fiends are already being added to the army as well, and you don't really need the destroyers until you see a good number of bears. That's when you want to start devouring magic off of that rejuvenation, and that's going to be what's going to be happening now. Let's take a look at this, and this is a little bit odd. He doesn't have a ziggurat, so he should really be upgrading the destroyer form, but perhaps because he is low on lumber, a little bit mismanagement on his resources, and once again you see production buildings not researching and not doing very much of anything. This is going to end up hurting even further, as the Night Elf is already sitting at 46 over 50 supply. All right, Demon Hunter picks up another item there. Not quite sure what tome it was. It looks like, you know, I really can't be sure. Intelligence, agility, and strength, all of those do look a little bit higher, or on the higher end, except for agility. So maybe it was additional strength or perhaps additional intelligence for more mana burns. Ogre Magi now pulling his way back down. Druid of the Claw should be getting a rejuvenation off onto that Demon Hunter. In just a second here, there was abolish magic from that Forest Troll High Priest, and now that all of the Forest Troll High Priests have pretty much run out of mana, that's when the rejuvenation went down very, very nicely. The Naga Sea Witch picking up that mana stone, it does increase your mana regeneration, so that Naga Sea Witch is going to benefit from an additional 1 mana a second, essentially Brilliance Aura on that Naga Sea Witch just for herself. Troll High Priest left behind here. Lich still sitting at level 1, finishing off the rest of the Forest Troll Berserkers here. It looks like the Death Knight will get to level 3. Naga Sea Witch staying at 2, while the Lich is just barely level 2 as well. So both of those heroes, if they can hit 1 more creep camp before the next fight, that is going to be a big deal, and it looks like they will, as they're going after this Goblin Laboratory here. All right, both sides now really just creeping their neck of the woods. Now, it means that we're going to be looking at a much more interesting final battle. It's going to come down to who has more of the right units at the right time. Bears are already in play, Dryads are added as well, as we're looking at 50 over 60 supply. I do believe WarchiefRich will be attempting to set up an expansion here, as it is fairly easy for a Night Elf army, or the Night Elf, to set up an expansion. Well, a lot easier than the Undead. The Undead, however, should have the hero advantage, which we are starting to notice now. Level 3 Death Knight, level 3 Lich, level 3 Witch, and level 2 Lich. That additional level 2 Lich with that Frost Nova and Frost armor is going to make a very big deal here, as the Naga Sea Witch here is relatively low on mana. You still see these obsidian statues in the back, but they haven't really been giving that much mana to the remaining heroes here. Alright, if the Naga Sea Witch perhaps just wasn't attacking with their cold arrow attack constantly, then the Naga Sea Witch would have more mana for the upcoming fights. I don't know if I quite agree with ShaDai leaving that mana auto cast on, especially since he is currently so low on mana. Boots of Quel'Thalas though, Boots of Quel'Thalas plus 6 agility, no agility hero for the Undead, as we're now looking at more and more tomes being dropped. I believe that was a tome of intelligence and a tome of strength being left behind there. Demon Hunter with vampiric aura and bears gonna be able to finish off this creep camp pretty quickly. And with the Demon Hunter now at 4, the level advantage that the Death Knight and the Undead army had momentarily was just for a split second. Now the Death Knight needs to get higher up if the Death Knight is trying to go up against a level 5 Demon Hunter, which we may see that 150 point mana burn is going to remove all the mana off the Naga Sea Witch, effectively turning her into an over-glorified Crypt Fiend. The Lich also is very mana intensive, and the Obsidian statues are doing their best to keep mana on the Death Knight and the Lich, but it seems like the Naga Sea Witch is just plaguing herself, constantly using much more mana than she should be when trying to creep. Demon Hunter is at 4, Naga Sea Witch is at 3, Ring of Regeneration and Mana Stone both ready to go, as we're looking at, oh, it looks like those units may be coming down. There's a Shade keeping track of the army, and ShaDai really lucks out there, knowing where exactly his opponent is, as we're now looking at the Null Overseers coming in. Alright, the Shade has been spotted. He should have moved out with his army the instant he saw what was happening there. Naga Sea Witch picks up a Ring of Protection plus 2. Now a total of 7 armor is going to make this fight just very painful. Alright, there's that slow poison. There is a Frost Nova. Rejuvenation quickly negating that. There's a Death Coil to try and save that Crypt Fiend. The Crypt Fiend, however, getting an array of different spells. Abolish Magic, Death Coil, as that Crypt Fiend is trying to get away, and it looks like it will be able to do exactly that. There is another Frost Armor, there is another Death Coil, but the Death Knight and Lich now both relatively low on mana, while the Demon Hunter can shut that down all in just 1 second. Abominations now being added. We still don't see Obsidian statues, and I'm really curious as to what army a lone gargoyle is out on the field as well. And as we see also a boneyard. ShaDai does have 2 minutes of gold all saved up, ready to go, as we are also going into a Chimera Roost. So we are going to have chimeras and frostworms on this map here. A beautiful reveal catching sight of this boneyard, and we'll see what comes of that. The boneyard is going to be what's used to try and counter these Druids of the Claw, but the Dryads will try and make short work of that frostworm. Alright, Chimera Roost is coming into play. You see one lone gargoyle right there attempting to take down an Ancient of Lore. Not going to do very much, as we see now also a Naga Sea Witch, a level 4 Naga Sea Witch, attempting to take down this gargoyle. This gargoyle is going to end up falling. There's a Fork Lightning, and there it goes. Some easy experience given once more, as we're also looking at more Obsidian statues, and there you have it, the 2 Frostworms that will be joining this fight. As soon as the first Frostworm is out on the field, I think that will be the sign to begin to roll out here. Death Knight sitting at level 3, Lich sitting at level 3, Naga Sea Witch sitting at level 3 as well. All of them level 3 heroes up against a level 4 Demon Hunter and a level 4 Naga Sea Witch. Total hero level of 8 versus total hero level of 9, but It really will come down to if the Demon Hunter gets to level 5, that 150 point mana burn is going to shut down these mana intensive heroes in the Lich and the Naga Sea Witch. Alright, Boneyard, about done with that first Frostworm, and here we go. Upgraded 2-0. The Undead does have a relatively strong army. Meanwhile, we're looking at 67 over 80 compared to 73 over 80. The Frostworm not joining in on the fight, though. That was a bit of a mistake, as all the units are now rolling out together. Destroyers also having a bit of mana. No real reason to convert that into a Destroyer as of yet, unless there is a fight. You can see the mana is actually falling down relatively easily and quickly. What is going to be happening next? This should be turning into a Destroyer and then absorbing mana from that Obsidian statue in just a second. And there you have it. 400 mana. Oh wait, that Destroyer needs the mana as well. Not quite sure why it is not. There we go. There you have it. Now we have the Destroyers, and this is the army that the Undead is looking for. Hippogriffs are out on the field. There is some fork lightnings going across multiple units. Chimera getting webbed down, and we see a lot of units on the ground. Ancient of Wind also joining in on the fight. So this is actually a very intensive all-out battle here. Bears taking a lot of damage. Chimera now getting taken down again. Frostworm going after the units. Should really be going after the bears as opposed to anything else. And it may come down to who's going after the higher priority targets. Chimera gets taken down. There we go. Level 4 now on the Death Knight. Level 4 on the Demon Hunter. Not quite level 5. Let's take a look. The fights are going down. The Frostworm is off to the side here as the Death Knight unable to get off a Death Coil on the remaining units. Demon Hunter still has plenty of mana though, as the Frostworm is getting hits and runs and now going to end up falling. This may be it here as the new Frostworm just now coming in. Staff of Preservation saves a unit. Demon Hunter now going after the Naga Sea Witch. Naga Sea Witch does have a potion of lesser invulnerability, so that should be fine in just a moment as a new Chimera and new Frostworm joining on the fight. Alright, Staff of Preservation saves the Demon Hunter. Naga Sea Witch still joining in on the fight here. Has plenty and is going to be using the Scroll Account Portal. Can you get that last bear? Gets the bear, but loses the level 4 Naga Sea Witch. The Naga Sea Witch should not have been that close, and that may be it. ShaDai sacrificing or risking a level 4 Naga Sea Witch to get a 4 supply bear. Not a good call by any stretch of the imagination. And now we see the total supplies 37 over 80 compared to 49 over 80. That also with the fact that the Naga Sea Witch is being resurrected, so it's only 34 or 35 over 80 compared to there is a fair amount being trained up by the Night Elf as well. So I guess that is still a relatively even comparison. Frostworms not being trained. You can see, Demon Hunter may actually be risking himself a little bit much as well. This could be very bad news. Staff of Preservation saved by the Naga Sea Witch there as the units are now on the run. Death Knight with Unholy Aura. If that Naga Sea Witch ends up falling because the Frostworm is right there, that could spell some problems. All right, there you have it. Death Knight is there as well. Let's take a look at it. Go after the archers. Go after the sure kills as a Chimera now in that fight as well. Chimera getting in some extra damage. Is that Naga Sea Witch just going to get stabbed to Preservation? Yes, and there was that 1-2 save, an overcommitment with nothing really to show for it. Down goes the Frostworm. Chimera is now down over here, but all of these archers and dryads, which are still a relatively dangerous target, could have been taken down. Lich now down at 57 hit points. It looks as though the Chimera will get taken down, but the Lich is still running around in just circles trying to stay alive. Level 4 now on the Lich. A beautiful save there, but I do not think the Obsidian statue is going to be enough. A little bit of a dodge, and it looks like I do not know how that Lich is surviving in all of that chaos, but the Death Knight does not. There is the GG. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it.